I happy about the Cobra Kai show being on Netflix. What's funny is like I been watching them since they came out, and so it's cool to see people react to it and be like, "Oh man, like this is what I've been missing." Because I was always raging on about how good of a show it is and people should watch it, but like when it was on YouTube, it was like hard to find, and people were like, I don't want to have to pay, $2 an episode to watch whatever they charge on YouTube. So like, that's cool. They went to Netflix, but I've been seeing a lot of people talking about season 3 and their predictions, and some people were like, Terry Silver, if you remember him from Karate Kid, the guy with the ponytail. They're saying that Tori, the girl from season 2, that fights Daniel LaRusso's daughter, that she's that's Terry Silver's daughter. That seems to be the general consensus among people, but I have my own theory that I've had for a while now, for a good year or so, or whenever like season 2 came out. I believe, and I'm going on record. Actually, I went on record back then, but I'm going on record again. My prediction is that Terry Silver is Miguel's dad. And let me explain. In Karate Kid Part 3, when Terry Silver's in the, I don't remember if he's in the hot tub or he's somewhere, and he's making a business call, and he says, all right, and I need you to dump, this toxic waste in South America, and he talks about South America. And so then, once I heard Miguel, when he's like, Johnny's like, all right, we have enough Mexicans on the block. And he's like, well, actually, my family's from Ecuador. I'm like, Ecuador, that's in South America. And so that's the first thing that I got from season 1 when he's like, my family's actually from Ecuador or whatever. And then also Carmen, his mom, when he's talking about, hey, what's up with Miguel's dad? And she's like, well, I met him, and he was such a nice when I first met him, but then once we got married or whatever, got involved and had a kid and whatever, then I kind of realized how he really is, what kind of man he really is, and that he's this terrible man. And if you think back to Karate Kid 3, when he first meets Daniel, he's all like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do karate. I'm this nice guy, and and then, he flips and he's like, I'm getting revenge for Sensei Kreese, and it's like, oh shit, like, I thought he was a cool dude, and Daniel's like thrown for, his character's thrown, for a loop, because he's like, man, I thought this guy was, a nice guy, and then he ends up being a dick. So if you think about it, it all adds up, like Carmen, beautiful woman. So, it's, he probably wanted to, get with her really, whatever and stuff. So it was like, hey, well, I'm a nice guy. And then later on, he finds out he's this guy that dumps toxic waste in the middle of the fucking Amazon jungle. And he's just this, like piece of shit kind of guy. I think if anything, Tori, my guess would be she's actually Sensei Kreese's granddaughter. Because he talked about, having a bad run of luck, and I was living in and out of these little like, retirement homes or veteran homes or whatever that he's been staying in, and it's not hard to imagine that he had a daughter, or he had an affair with a woman, or he had maybe a wife or a girlfriend. And she got pregnant, had a kid, but of course, he was in a bad place mentally and financially. So, eventually maybe that daughter, had a daughter of her own. And it's like, because if you think about it, they both kind of come into the scene around the same time. Which, because John Kreese is there, then all of a sudden, like, he's kind of like, Johnny gave him a second chance, and so he's kind of like, oh, this is, he's an observer, just, pretend he's not there. And then he's like, hey, who wants to challenge the champ? And and then Tori's like, I'll fight him, and it's like, ooh. And if you think about Kreese's, how he is, he's real aggressive, real violent. that girl Tori's the same way, and she growing up with, I guess a deadbeat grandfather, and then, like probably not even knowing her dad, because she mentioned that her mom was a single parent that raised them, so she probably found out, hey, this is, your grandfather and stuff, and which would explain why she talks about, I took some kickboxing classes, but I think, Kreese was like, he kind of taught her some stuff, and same thing with Miguel, like, when I said that, Terry Silver is his dad, I was like, that probably explains why he is so, like natural at martial arts, he picks it up really quickly, and, like a lot of the lessons that, Johnny Lawrence is teaching him, he's like, oh yeah, I've got that down, he gets it pretty quickly, which, his father, Terry Silver, was a really good martial artist, and, was, real sharp as far as that. So that's my theory, that Terry Silver is Miguel's dad, and, so that's my theory. And if anything, John Kreese, like I said, his granddaughter is Tori, because, if you just think about the Easter eggs, like they say stuff in the series for a reason. So they mentioned, Miguel's family could have been from Mexico. There's no way of, but they specifically said Ecuador. It could have been anywhere, Guatemala, it could have been from Puerto Rico, or, anything, Mexico, but they made a point to say Ecuador, which is in South America, and that ties in with Terry Silver, because he does business in that area. And, and then she's like, and then the other Easter egg, well, like I said, was, he wasn't the man I thought he was, and he ended up, being like a dick or whatever. She don't say that, but, she kind of like implies that he was nice when they first met, and then afterwards he, turned on her, whatever. And so that's my theory, that Terry Silver is Miguel's dad, and he's gonna find out here that he got hurt, and he's gonna come by, and he's gonna, because it was done by Robbie, which is, I think there's a good conflict there, because, Robbie is Johnny's son. So Kreese is going to be like, hey, well, that son of a bitch, yeah, he's my student, but, whatever. And then Terry's going to be like, that, so he's got that beef with Johnny. Then he's going to have a beef with Daniel because, of the whole Miyagi-Do karate and shit, and the history with that. So, there's a lot of potential right there for a good storyline, of, or maybe even Robbie, like, because after he flees from doing what he did to Miguel, maybe he's looking for somebody, and Terry Silver's like, hey kid, I'll train you, I'll teach you, this and that, I won't give up on you. And then it's like, the whole, when Daniel got seduced by Terry Silver in Karate Kid 3, and he's like, hey, well, Mr. Miyagi won't train you, well, I'll train you, and so, there's a whole bunch of potential for all that. And then, like I said, Kreese is, like one day, she shows up, and, and he's like, oh, y'all know my granddaughter, this is Tori, whatever, and it's, or something, or it comes out that that's his granddaughter. So yeah, it all adds up. Like I said, when Kreese arrives, like a day or two later, Tori arrives, which, out of the blue, like, like when, she pops up, it's like, oh, who's even like John, everybody's like, even the students are like, who the hell is this chick, and she's all like, oh, fight him, and so that's my prediction. I think everybody else has got it wrong, because everybody's, everybody's got their opinion, and I might be wrong, but like I said, they don't say things in the show that, for a reason. Like the whole thing with like Allie, and him and Johnny talking about, hell yeah, she's on Facebook, but she won't add me, and I'm, this and that, and blah blah blah. And then of course at the end you see the whole thing where it says Allie sent Johnny a friend request on Facebook and stuff. So see, stuff like that, they put those in there on purpose so that later on it's like, oh, remember when they were talking at the bar, or Daniel was in the the garden talking with so and so, and he mentions this. Oh, that's why. And then later on it makes sense. It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, Terry Silver is Miguel's dad, and Tori is John Kreese is granddaughter or grandniece or something, or she's related to Kreese in some way. So yeah.